Update. Am I the a-hole for denying my sister's lies in front of her in-laws? Original post. I am 25 female and have an older sister, Kate, 30 female. She and I were never close due to our age difference and because she hated that our dad married my mom and had me after divorcing her mother. Kate claims dad told her he never loved her mother and that my mom was his true love, that our dad always compared the two of us and asked her why she had to be a difficult child and that overall, dad loved me more. On the other hand, dad claims nothing she says is true, that she was very problematic and insolent. These claims are backed up by my mother and dad's parents, so I assume Kate was never 100% honest. Anyways, these are their problems and do not concern me. Some time ago, Kate reached out to me and told me she got engaged. I said congrats and everything. She told me she had a favor to ask. She said her mother-in-law is very family-oriented and that it does not sit well with her that Kate is estranged from her family. In her words, her future mother-in-law believed something must also be wrong with Kate, and that she was partly to blame for being no contact with her family, fearing Kate might influence her son to do the same. What Kate wanted from me was for me to meet her in-laws, so they could see she doesn't hate her family. I joked that her future mother-in-law sounded a little intense, and I agreed to help her because, at the end of the day, I never hated her. And I don't think she hated me either. The fact that we are not close doesn't mean we hate each other or want bad things to happen to one another. Anyway, I went to meet Kate, her future husband, and her mother-in-law and father-in-law at a restaurant. They were very nice people and very warm. At some point, mother-in-law said something along the lines of being happy to see that the abuse we suffered didn't affect our sisterly bond. I was confused and asked what abuse she was talking about, while Kate tried to change the subject. Mother-in-law said it was okay, that I had nothing to be ashamed of, and that she knew from Kate our parents abused us while growing up. I clarified that this was not true. We were never abused by our parents or anyone in our family. We were raised in a very loving family. We were never hit or spanked no matter what we did. Our parents are well off, so we always had everything we wanted: clothes, phones, laptops, cars, etc. Mother-in-law got very, very angry. She apologized to me and started insulting my sister. She called her a liar, accused her of being manipulative, and said she was trying to insert herself into their family by being dishonest. What happened is that Kate accused our parents of many things that are not true. Now Kate is accusing me of ruining her life. She says her engagement is over, her in-laws hate her, and her fiancé doesn't trust her anymore. The thing is, I don't think I did anything wrong. I cannot sit and hear people blasting my parents for her lies and for things that never happened. But still, am I the a-hole for telling the truth? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Kate made a decision to lie, and then it bit her in the butt. Sounds like she made her bed and she can lie in it. Seriously though, how dumb is she? If she told her future mother-in-law something that big, of course she would bring it up to you. And if Kate expected you to lie for her, she really is special. And not in the good way, in the eats paste way. I assume she never expected her mother-in-law to be so blunt and tell me? I don't know, but yeah, it's stupid. I'd put money on the mother-in-law already knowing she was full of it to begin with, and this just confirmed it for her. She probably caught her in other lies, saying things that just don't add up, etc. That's why she was so blunt about it. And as for her relationship, if it can be destroyed with the truth, it should be. Not the a-hole. If you asked my sister if we were abused, she'd answer no. The fact is that two siblings can have wildly different childhoods within the same household. My sister is the golden child who needs to be handled delicately and saved regularly. I'm the independent child who's magically supposed to save everyone and take all the nonsense. Your sister was either lying or she was stupid. I would never ask my sister to vouch for my reality because I know she doesn't share it. Now for the update days later. So a lot has happened during these last few days that generated even more drama. But before I get into that, I want to express a big thank you to those who commented and provided their feedback. After reading your comments, some things started making more sense, and honestly, It brought a lot of perspective to things I had missed. Also, I got really mad reading every little comment from those who projected their own messy family life onto my family. I realized the magnitude her words and claims can really have. People called my parents abusive, invented things that never happened, and started projecting what her life must have been like. Some even claimed my mom ruined her family, when my mom didn't even meet my father before his divorce. So it was a shock to see that strangers who somehow hear her stories might believe everything she says without even doubting a word, or even add their own dramas into the picture to feed her fantasy. The major thing that happened was that one day her ex-fiancé reached out to me via Facebook. He apologized for how things went during the meeting with his parents and asked if I was willing to have a chat with him because he wanted to check my version of the things Kate had told him. I explained that I didn't want to do this behind her back because I didn't think it was fair, but if he could manage to convince her for the three of us to have a conversation, I was all in. I also told him there were a lot of things I needed to confront her about, and I would really feel more comfortable with a witness there. For 2 days, I heard nothing from them, and then yesterday, the big conversation happened. We scheduled a call in the evening because everyone felt more comfortable that way. I'll say from the start that I had nothing to do with convincing my sister to attend the talk. This was her decision after discussing it with her ex. From what I understand, she agreed to it, hoping that, in the end, her fiancé would take her back. Unfortunately, I will admit, her ex and I kind of ganged up on her because we both had many questions, and she was the one to provide answers. Some of the answers I got from her. Why did she lie about being abused by our parents? She claimed she did not specifically mention me as being abused, but admitted she did not correct her mother-in-law when she misunderstood. So she knew her mother-in-law was under the impression that our parents abused both of us, but didn't correct her. When her fiancé asked why, she said she felt that by not correcting her, the mother-in-law would stop viewing her as the problem, knowing that there were two of us in the same situation. She still claimed she was abused by our parents. When I asked for specific examples, she first said, "You know very well what happened," but both her fiancé and I insisted. Some of the things she mentioned were, when she was a teenager, she was often punished while I was not, which to her indicated I was loved more. And this, in her view, was abuse. Keep in mind that when she was 14 to 15, I was only 9 to 10, and she was doing things like getting suspended for smoking during class and skipping school. How was I supposed to be punished alongside her? She said I was also doing bad things but was never punished, while she was. Her fiancé asked her verbatim, "So you claim you were abused because you were punished for smoking in class, while the bad things your younger sister did were maybe drawing on walls? How do you assume it would be fair to punish such different actions the same way?" She wasn't able to answer. She claimed she was financially abused by our parents because they wouldn't give her money for fun activities, school trips, or events when she misbehaved. This was an example of punishments she would often receive. Her fiancé asked her if our parents provided her with basic things like food, clothes, and school supplies, and she said yes. He mentioned that parents are not obligated to fund trips and fun activities, so how was she financially abused? I asked if she ever thinks about the things she did wrong toward our family. She claimed she knew she wasn't a saint, but she was a child. I pointed out that at 17, you are not a child, and you know better than to swear at your grandmother. Her fiancé had no idea about any of this, so I explained some very nasty things she did and said. One time, we were getting ready to go to our cousin's baptism, and she wanted to wear a black t-shirt with a pentagram on it. Grandma asked her to change because it wasn't appropriate for a baptism. Kate called her an old, outdated freaking hag. Her fiancé brought up a story Kate told him and his parents about an incident where my parents abused her by confiscating her car, leaving her to walk to school during winter. What she failed to mention was that they confiscated her car because of a DUI, which she treated like it wasn't a big deal. And secondly, she never had to walk to school during winter. She could have taken the bus. And in reality, even without a car, she carpooled with a classmate. This triggered her ex a lot because, unfortunately, he lost his grandfather to a drunk driver. So even knowing this, Kate lied and turned her story into a soap opera just to make herself look like a victim. I asked her ex if she ever said negative things about me, and he said no. She only mentioned instances where our parents treated us differently, but always pointed out that they were doing it to turn us against each other. Based on the stories she told, she apparently never blamed me or said anything negative about me. The entire ordeal lasted about 3 hours, and by the end, I was exhausted. I told her that even if we were never very close as sisters, I have always loved her and considered her my sister, period. Not half, just my only sister. I told her I understand that our parents could have handled things differently, and that maybe she didn't receive all the help she needed to adjust to a stepmother and a new family dynamic, but I am now judging her as an adult. An adult who should know not to lie, not to play the victim, and who should take responsibility for her actions. As people pointed out in my last post, I advised her to get therapy and work through her issues. But until that happens, I cannot continue to have a relationship with her. She accused me of favoring our parents over her, but I told her I favor the truth over lies, and she should be ashamed of herself. So that's what happened between me and Kate. I have no idea what happened, or what will happen, with her ex, but based on how things turned out, I really doubt he will give her another chance. He made it clear that she cannot be trusted and pointed out something his mother told him. If she's capable of lying in such a way about her own parent, what might she be capable of saying about him? He said he wouldn't be surprised if she later accused him of being abusive, since that seems to be her narrative. But that's her own problem. She made this bed for herself. I remember your last post. While I did suspect correctly that her experience growing up would be different from yours, I knew from the get-go she was up to something nefarious. She could have been honest, but instead she lied and expected you to cover for her. The story about her DUI made me lose any ounce of sympathy I may have had for her situation. Since she is a liar and may lash out at you, I suggest you talk to your parents about what happened so that they are aware and not caught off guard when it eventually gets back to them. I told them everything that happened so they can be aware. What was very, very hard to digest was the way they reacted. They were not angry, not enraged. They were just like, yeah, we expected that much from her. This feels so similar to my niece and how she views her relationship with my sister, her stepmother, and my brother-in-law. She too claimed emotional and financial abuse, despite her claims being complete BS. In the long run, this has broken her relationship with her own half-sister, as well as with her dad and stepmom. The rest of us have to walk on eggshells when dealing with her because she'll cut off contact for months on end if we say something she doesn't agree with. Even though she's not related by blood, none of my siblings consider her less than family. Very similar to how you always consider your sister your sister. I wish my experience could provide you insight, but I don't know how to fix broken people. I think therapy is the right choice. Maybe, considering your bond, you can go to family counseling with her. I've yet to get my niece to go to family counseling with me, but it's a different relationship. I think you have a chance to go to family counseling and help resolve some issues where my family doesn't. I hope the best for you, and I hope your sister finds the piece she's missing. I am willing to support her, only if she admits her mistakes and goes to therapy. By admitting her mistakes, I mean also apologizing for all the lies she told. I never saw the impact such claims could have until I posted here for the first time. Being used to her behavior, I think I excused her ways as being dramatic, but I now understand how such claims can easily be believed by strangers, which is not okay for the people being accused. I also hope your niece gets some sense and improves. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not babysitting my sister's kid after she said my infertility makes me the perfect aunt? I, 32 female, found out last year that I can't have children. It was devastating. I don't really want to get into the medical side of it here, but it's been a hard pill to swallow. I've been in therapy, trying to process everything, and honestly, it's been rough. My husband, 34 male, has been amazing through all of it. We've talked about maybe adopting someday, but right now I'm still just grieving. My younger sister, 29 female, had a baby about 8 months ago. She's always been kind of oblivious. Like she doesn't mean to be rude, but sometimes the stuff that comes out of her mouth is just wild. Anyway, ever since the baby was born, she's been hinting that I should help out more. She'll say things like, "You're so good with him, you were meant to be a mom." Or, "He loves you, you've got that maternal energy," which I guess is sweet on the surface, but also makes me feel like crap because I can't actually be a mom. Then last week, she asked if I could watch the baby for 3 days straight while she and her boyfriend went on a last-minute trip to Vegas. 3 days. Not even like, "Can you watch him for a few hours?" And I work full-time from home. I literally can't just drop everything to play nanny. When I told her no, she got weirdly passive-aggressive and said, "Well, I just thought since you don't have kids, and probably never will, you'd appreciate the experience. Some of us don't get time off from being moms, you know." I just stared at her, like, what the actual heck? That's when I snapped and said, "You know what? Maybe you should have thought of that before having a baby with someone who treats you like a backup plan. I'm not your free babysitter just because my uterus doesn't work." She got all teary and said I was being bitter and jealous, and that I should be grateful to have a baby in my life at all. We haven't spoken since. My mom says I was cruel and that I should apologize. My husband says she had it coming. I feel like I maybe could have kept my cool better, but I'm just so tired of people acting like being childless means I'm supposed to step in whenever someone else needs help with theirs. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister is entitled and spoiled, and when she didn't get her way, she poked the bear, said something extremely hurtful, and deserved everything you said to her. Also, screw your mom for taking your sister's side. You have to apologize? You're not the a-hole. I was just astonished that someone could say something so callously hurtful and then get support for it from your mother. Sure, she can apologize. Sis, I am sorry you are a cruel, self-centered, insensitive to the feelings of others, and somehow overly sensitive about your own feelings, bitch. It must be so hard for you to live, knowing others find you intolerable to be around. Forgive me for pointing out your obvious flaws. See? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Listen to your husband. He sounds like a saint. Just because you can't have kids doesn't mean you are childless by choice. That choice was literally taken from you. So sorry for that. Your sister is just clueless. Don't apologize, but maybe after a couple weeks or whenever the dust has settled, sit your sister down and spell it out for her. The hurt, the frustration, the anger, and how what she says is just mean. Or don't say anything, and you still wouldn't be the a-hole. I'm not sure that she is clueless. Those sound like some pretty pointed digs at OP, trying to bully and taunt her into on-call babysitting submission. Even if OP was childless by choice, it does not make OP's sister's comments better. I'm childless by choice, but nobody is entitled to my time. It's my choice who I want to spend time with or babysitter for. And to act like she's doing OP a favor by letting her babysit is just gross.